Usually I'll say good morning, but this is a different this is different. This is good evening. And welcome to the quote unquote early morning sports talk podcast. So this here is a special edition and we may give this to you, maybe a couple times a month where we'll get on in the evening, maybe elaborate on the subject that's a little bit more near and dear to our hearts that we didn't get a chance to talk to, maybe something that's, news breaking, or just a chop it up session. So today is January 14th, 2025. I'm still getting used to saying 25 instead of 24. Um, but today's episode is going to be primarily uh, focusing on the Chicago Bears head coaching candidacy. This is pretty much what the show is about. So before we get into it, I'm here with my boy Ian, bro. How you doing this evening, man?
Pretty good, man. Still a different setup. It's not early morning Saturday, so yeah, man. It's a
Nah,
different feel, but I'm ready, man. It's always a good time.
always, bro. Always. All right, so it is a Tuesday, but like I mentioned, this show is more so dictated for the Chicago Bears head coaching candidates. Uh, in case you wasn't aware, the Bears, they definitely fired Matt Eberflus the day after Thanksgiving. We saw the debacle that led to that point. Thomas Brown has been the interim head coach since then. The season is over. They are now going through a very extensive process to find the next head coach. And what I mean by that is um, there's about 20 names that has been linked to the Chicago Bears head coaching job, which is insane. Um, they have done an interview with at least half of them already. Some they can't really get to because the candidates are still in the playoffs. But nevertheless, we are going to get to quite a few that's pretty much already has been interviewed or definitely that's heavily linked, that's about to get interviewed, things of that nature. Um, I think we start with probably, I guess, quote unquote, the hottest name going into this. And where I'm going with this is, you are a Lions fan, so
Mr. Johnson.
yes, sir, Mister Ben Johnson. So just so you know, he's been the offensive coordinator for the Lions for the past 3 seasons now. Um, Part of the grit has pretty much his resume includes turning Jared Goff, which we a lot of us thought was a has been or pretty much a done deal as a broken commodity. Couldn't get it done. McVay didn't want him. He pretty much shipped that man off for Matthew Stafford. The Rams go on to win the Super Bowl and left Jared Goff out to dry. But since then, the Lions had done nothing but improve since their 3-13 start with Dan Campbell, and as Ben Johnson became the coordinator, went 9-8. As we saw them in the last game of that season, knock out the Packers to get into the postseason. The momentum last season uh, carried them all the way to the NFC Championship game, to where we felt like the Lions ended up losing the game instead of the 49ers winning the game, and now the road to the Super Bowl this year goes through the Motor City. So, what are your thoughts on Ben Johnson?
um, I think Ben Johnson will be. I think it would be a good hire offensively. I don't know about defensively. Being quote unquote we're a defensive quote unquote defensive type of team. We've been a defensive team through the history of the Bears, and as a city. So I think offensively he'll probably be a good hire, but defensively I don't know. It depends on who he brings in on his staff and if he's going to be a good fit with this organization. I'm I'm not sure. I don't know if the rumors of him, wanting certain people not in the organization no more, if he decided to become the head coach. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's rumors, some made up stuff, but I think he could be. I'll say this. I think he'll be good for Caleb. For the team, I'm not sure. I mean, he is just an offensive coordinator. It's different from being a coordinator to being the leader of the whole team, not just the offense or the quarterbacks or receivers or a certain position.
Right.
So it's a difference. And we just Matt Eberflus was a coordinator, and I think he ended up being a head coach at Indianapolis. Am I correct?
You said
Eberflus. I know he was the defensive coordinator at one point, but was he the head coach as well?
no, just the DC from the
Oh,
Colts.
oh, so he was the DC. Okay, so
Yep.
right. So are we gonna go and get another coordinator and make him a head coach again? Is this going to be his first head coaching job? I'm not familiar with his coaching background, but I don't know if he's ever been a head coach before. If he has,
No.
maybe college. Okay, so yeah, so I if I'm the Bears, that would be something for me to think about. Um, this job is not a coordinator job. This is you're the top guy. So now, granted, he'll probably if he was to get hired or another coordinator gets the job, of course they'll probably call the plays if they're the defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator if that's what they're familiar with. But uh, I don't know. He's never been a head coach, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Victor saying, I guess in reference to the Indianapolis Colts, they didn't let Eberflus coach, but they let Jeff Saturday be that coach that came in at one time mid season.
Well, I guess they said they dodged a bullet. The Bears only won what 12, 15, 12 games with this guy. 15 games in what 4 or 5 years? Four? No, no, three. I think
Three.
he came in 22, right? 22. Right
Yeah.
after Justin Fields came. Justin Fields came in 21, so yeah,
Yep.
22.
Yep. This was his third
Was
season.
it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Um. So so here's a couple of things that I feel like are key components to this. One, you want a head coach that can develop Caleb Williams. I
Yeah.
mean, he's the franchise guy. He definitely, in a lot, in my opinion, he showed enough to be that guy. Um, the Bears failed him in a lot of aspects, but also there can be definitely some improvement for Caleb Williams on his own as well to really go to that next level. So a lot of things with that. You want a head coach that can do that. Two, I would think you would want somebody with actual head coaching experience as well. Just we don't have to go through this coordinator thing because it's been Eberflus, it's been Nagy. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, before that it was John Fox, but I feel like he was more so there to collect a paycheck as opposed to actually better the team.
Coaching.
Yes.
Right.
Before that was Tressman, a coordinator from the Canadian Football
Yeah.
League.
And we had one of the top offenses in the league at that point. And then the defense was trash, historically trash.
Dude, yeah, we went from a great defense with a bad offense to a great offense with a bad defense. And then the second year, everything just went into shambles. When you start hearing about Martellus Bennett punching players and his on his own team and practice and stuff, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that went all downhill. So Ben Johnson is the hottest name out there by far,
Yep.
because it's like you either want that new hot, that shiny new toy, the new the OC that can come in and turn things around, like the Sean McVays of the world, the Matt LaFleur's of the world, Kyle Shanahan's, that Kevin O'Connell, like that whole thing. You just come in and just be that guy and just transform an offense like that.
All right.
Or you want a guy that's comes in, changes the culture right away, that is so polarizing, doesn't take any nonsense from day one, cut out all that BS that we seen with the players and the coach. Like it's just a bunch of nonsense.
Yeah.
And so for the longest in this, it was either one or the other. Because my two that I wanted initially before, people got hired and stuff was either Ben Johnson or Mike Vrabel. Obviously, Mike Vrabel interviewed, but he already accepted a job with New England. It was kind of like already foregone conclusion.
Yeah. I think the everybody's seen that coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What's going on with y'all? We appreciate you.
Yo.
And those the homies right there.
Yep.
So my thing is with the next guy I'm gonna bring up, after I get through talking about Ben Johnson, might be the median to all this. But as far as Ben Johnson, like, yeah, I want him because what he's done with Jared Goff to turn him around to, just make him this, I ain't gonna say elite quarterback, but he's a very competent quarterback within that system in that high power offense. Granted, they have the skill players to do so and the offensive line to make it all work.
And that's the number one thing, offensive line.
Yes, and which that needs to heavily be addressed in all season. That's without a doubt for the Bears.
Yep.
But when you got them doing all these trick plays, like Jared Goff stumbling on purpose to throw that touchdown to Laporta against us, to you got offensive linemen lining up and catching passes and stuff and scoring touchdowns, to end arounds, hooking ladders, it's ridiculous. And they put up 50 points multiple times in the same season. So I mean, who wouldn't want that shiny toy that can orchestrate all that? But like you said, can he actually be a head coach?
Yeah,
that's the thing. You can be the greatest coordinator in the world, but can you lead a team? We wouldn't know. It would just
full team. Yep.
We would not know. I mean, you can probably command the people on the offense, but can you command the full team? That's the thing. So, with that being said, the next guy that I'm going to bring up, who is actually interviewing tomorrow and has found his way on the market, Mike McCarthy. Now, for me, I know over the years, I used to probably, talk a bunch of mess about this guy. Left and right. I mean,
you probably hated that guy.
I did. You know why? Because he was with the green and yellow. We don't talk about them too much, but nevertheless, it was a pain to go against them and Aaron Rodgers at the time when, our team was actually legit with Lovey, to go against that. And it was tough. Yeah. It was tough. And so, especially the year where the Packers actually won the Super Bowl with McCarthy as the head coach, and knowing that the last week of the regular season, we had a chance to not even let the Packers in the playoffs. And we ended up losing to them in the NFC Championship game. That's the game where the infamous Jay Cutler with the MCL and couldn't come back in the game. He on the bike, this, and that.
Mr. Caleb Haney, yeah.
Ugh.
BJ Raji interception, yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. But nevertheless, just reading off the stats here, Mike McCarthy's record as a head coach, 174 wins, 112 losses, 2 ties. That's a 608 winning percentage. In the playoffs, he's 11-11. So that's 500 in the playoffs, and he has a Super Bowl ring. So on surface, what are your thoughts for Mr. McCarthy?
Well, I got mixed signals with McCarthy. I do feel like I don't feel like he's a great coach, but I do feel like he's a good coach, and I kind of feel like maybe he don't get the credit he deserves. Like you said, he does have a Super Bowl win. We was in Green Bay. He was pretty successful. I don't know where the downfall came. Well, what was his reason for leaving? I can't really remember. But the way he just got treated in Dallas was just is like really unprofessional, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Bruh.
But I'm kind of glad that he's out of there. No, even if he don't get hired by the Bears or whoever he gets hired by, you know, I think he does need a fresh start. Besides being in Dallas, hell, I don't think nobody needs to go coach Dallas at this point. But um, it's tough to say if Mike McCarthy is the guy. Um, and it's not to say that I don't think he can lead men. I do think he can lead men. I just know that this organization needs a culture change. And this Mike McCarthy, the guy for the culture change, I don't know. That's tough to say. That's not to say that he can't do it or that he's not a good coach, but you know, I just feel like they need a guy that's going to really change his culture and really shake some things up.
Understood. First off, good evening, Dwayne. Thanks for dropping by with us, man. I know it's different times, but we want to try something different today. Um, McCarthy. So I feel like, for one, I feel like he can help develop Caleb Williams, just his track record. So when he got to Green Bay, it was when Brett Favre, he was still there, but towards the end of Brett Favre, um, Aaron Rodgers was sitting behind Brett Favre at the time. He, I want to say, from what I've read and heard, Packers was like 4-12 when McCarthy took over the job. Brett Favre had threw 28 interceptions that
It's
year.
crazy. I just looked at those stats last night. I was just looking at his career stats last night. Yep, you are absolutely correct. Yep, they were 4-12, and he almost threw 30 interceptions, threw 29,
Yeah. So
28, 29 interceptions. Yep.
so McCarthy, when he got there, he he got a much in his first year. He got a much better improved Brett Favre before he ended up eventually taking off to go to the Jets. He actually, I feel like he deserves some credit for helping developing Aaron Rodgers as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it took some time for Aaron Rodgers to be Aaron Rodgers
Yep,
as
3 years.
well,
He didn't start till his third year,
right?
third
And
or
it,
fourth year.
his third, yeah, somewhere around there, kind of like Jordan Love to a certain degree.
Hmm.
And even still, like the first couple years, it wasn't like all the way there, but that Super Bowl year, it really got there for Aaron Rodgers. And then I would also say the job you mentioned in Dallas. Like he went 3 years where they won 12 games,
Yep.
which I understand. Like, look, we get it. Like McCarthy is probably not the flashiest name in the room, probably the most boring name out of probably all these candidates and stuff. But the results are, I mean, you got 12 wins 3 years in a row. Even this past year, to where Dak Prescott got hurt and team fizzled out, that team still played hard for the man.
Yeah.
They did. And look, I'm not gonna sit up here and say that I absolutely want Mike McCarthy, but I would say that if they did hire the man, I'm not gonna be like, WTF type deal.
Right.
He's probably gonna end up being probably the most accomplished coach the Bears ever hired.
Man, wow. Man, to be honest,
At the time of hiring a coach, probably the most accomplished coach
I'm
they ever
first
hired in
coach.
their franchise.
I mean, yeah, and it's so sad to say. I mean, that ain't hard to come by, but yeah, you're right. I never really thought of it that way, but man, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, so go to the comments. Walt, he said, "What's good, fellas? You need a young
Yo,
guy to help change the culture. Mike ain't it?" Like I don't disagree. And before this, we were talking about Ben Johnson, and I'm all
yeah,
for Ben Johnson. The only question with Ben Johnson is he's never been a head coach, so could he actually do that part of the job? So I don't disagree with that. Uh, Marcus said, "What's up with the Bears circle and logo in the back?" Oh, can't you? Yeah, pretty much. This is all just Bears head coaching candidates since they interviewing the whole NFL. Heck, I got an interview with the Bears on Friday, so I'll let you know how that goes. I mean, but yeah, like McCarthy. I mean, his record is comparable to Sean Payton's, comparable to Mike Tomlin, comparable to Pete Carroll. So what's the difference between him and them?
and those
Cause
guys, yep.
cause he's boring.
Because I mean, if you think about all those guys you just named, and him, I mean, Mike McCarthy as well. All those teams were relevant in the 2010s. All those coaches that you just named, those guys, whatever team they were coaching, all those guys were Super Bowl winners and they were relevant. So, like you said, I don't think it would be like you say, damn, what are they doing higher? But it'll be a maybe, maybe he'll be the one, but I don't know.
Let me ask you this: would it feel like the Bears would settle if they hired McCarthy instead of going aggressively after Ben Johnson,
Yeah, I can see that. I would feel like, yeah, I would feel like, if they can't get a Ben Johnson or a young guy like
Joe
or
Brady or
Joe Brady or even Aaron Glenn. If they try to get Aaron Glenn, I've been hearing, they couldn't get Marcus Freeman or somebody young
yeah?
and I feel like he would be he's the uh he's the backup plan, he's the emergency plan. Like, oh, we can just go get Mike McCarthy. Now that's if somebody else don't have Mike McCarthy on their radar.
Which I believe the Saints do. Um,
Mm.
but the Bears will actually have him in person tomorrow, and I'm told that they're gonna actually go out to dinner and stuff too with the brass. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh
What was
boy.
said? What about Robert Sala? I
Uh, I think that's me personally. I think that's a typical Chicago Bear hire. Defensive coach.
yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying that he wouldn't be a great coach or he wouldn't. If you hire a guy like Robert Sala or defensive coordinator, even Aaron Glenn, now you have to. So now we're doing the same thing over and over again.
correct.
And this is not to say that these guys wouldn't, change the culture or make them a winning program again. But who are they going to hire to develop? Who is Robert Sala going to hire? Whatever defensive minded coach they hire, who's going to develop Caleb? That's going to be the thing.
Took the words out of my mouth on that one. So we'll see. All right, you ready for the next name? Because I
Yep.
definitely got a list here. We kind of talked about him already. Former head coach. He won a Super Bowl as well. He did interview with the Bears, but it was virtual. Old guy, but has a young person spirit. We're talking about Pete Carroll here. And just so you know, his head coaching record is 170, 120 and 1, 586 winning percentage. The playoffs are the exact identical as Mike McCarthy, 11-11, so that's 500. And of course, he has a Super Bowl. And many people think he should have had two Super Bowls, but we're not gonna go down that rabbit hole.
We'll be here all night.
So, your thoughts on Pete Carroll? I think he's 73 years old.
Yeah, Big Pete. I do know Pete can lead men. I know he can stay young and kind of keep up with the times, but his age, his age. It scared me. Like this ain't even in the 2010s where he probably was, in his 60s. I didn't even, to be honest, he's probably one of the few Caucasian coaches I've seen age gracefully. Like I didn't even know that. Like it was a while before I even knew that he was that old. Like I've known Pete Carroll. I've heard of Pete Carroll name since I was a kid. When he
From the
coached,
USC days.
yeah, on USC days, even when he coached the New England Patriots back in the day.
Woo,
During Drew Bledsoe days.
that's a throwback.
So yeah, so to know that he was, that. at that age, during the Seattle, during the Seattle days, then took me back to USC days. Like, man, he was like touching his 60s then. So I don't know. He's shown that he can do it on both levels because it was a stigma. It was a stigma that he couldn't do it. He couldn't get it done on the NFL level. But he came back to the NFL, came to Seahawks, made that team very relevant in the 2010s.
Yes.
Went to the Super Bowl, what, 2 years in a row, I
Yeah.
believe. Back to back. Yep, got a Super Bowl. Should have two. So he's very capable of changing the culture for sure. Just the thing that scares me with Pete Carroll is his age. So I mean that's something to think about. Um, I don't know how his health is. That would have to be another conversation. But
Yeah.
the only thing is just his age. But I do know that he has proven that he's a true leader of men, and he seems like he's a player's coach. You never really hear nothing bad about Pete Carroll or hear any players complain about him. So I do think he's a good candidate. I just the one thing that scares just his age. That's about it.
No, I get it. Rightfully so. It's like, how long would he actually be the coach? How long
Right.
would he be here? That's the main question. It's like, I mean, once again, I want somebody that can help develop Caleb Williams. I feel like he can do that to a certain degree. I mean, we saw what he did with Russell Wilson. Um, you know, peak Russell Wilson was getting them to the playoffs. It was like a 10-win team like every year, even after the Super Bowl debacle when they actually gave the keys to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson was out there like doing his thing. They was relying on Russell Wilson. He was making plays. He was developed when he was in his prime for sure. Um, but like you said, like the age part, can he really be here long enough to do what needs to be done?
Yeah.
That's the thing for me. Um, so Walt said I got one. How about you guys, right or wrong, and call Lovey Smith, man, won 10 games and got fired, make it right. So
Yeah.
I know. And what's wild is like, the Bears haven't really been the same since. But and I love Lovey when he was here. I did.
Uh,
I felt like that was the standard. Lovey was the standard for the Bears. But in the same breath, and I don't like saying this, from a actual result standpoint, was that really a good standard though? Because I think he was the coach, what, maybe 9 years or something like that.
yeah.
And we went to the playoffs, what, 3 times?
Yeah. We made a. I know went Super Bowl year. Um. I
The
know
the year that the
the
Packers won the
Steves.
Super Bowl
Yep. The year the Packers won the Super Bowl.
and
With Jay Cutler and Steve Smith year where we got
when
burned.
torched by, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And
that
that
was
it
it.
might be one more other time, and I think that's it. But them might be the three times though.
Yeah, out of the 9. And my thing was, so before I got on, I was doing some cleaning. I was washing dishes and listening to the radio and stuff. And it just dawned on me: when was the last time the Bears made the playoffs in back-to-back years?
Uh,
I'm waiting.
maybe the
Before we was born.
no. I feel like Nagy didn't make it back to back, did he?
Nope.
No. Mm. It's only one other time I could think maybe that they did, but I'm pretty sure like out of the well, I'm showing my age now. I'll be 34 in exactly a month from today. Um, I
Oh,
don't
you a
think
Valentine's
they've.
Day baby?
Yeah, I don't think that they've been to the playoffs back to back years since I've been living.
I
Let me
say, like,
see.
Like if I was to take a guess, it'd be in the 80s. It would be in the 80s if I was to take a guess. And while you're looking that up, well said, but went to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman and Cal Orton. I mean, we did. We did.
Yeah,
We went to the
the
Super Bowl.
defense the defense at Devin Hester took us there. He
Yes. Yes, they did.
he
And
led
we
the team in points. He's a special teams player. He didn't even play offense yet.
at all. And
That's
yeah,
insane.
we went against your Colts and lost, and I will forever be thankful that I got to see the Bears in a Super Bowl. But it's not enough. It's not enough. You still looking?
Yeah, because I'm trying to let me see. I'm trying to hold on.
I honestly, I really feel like either we were like really young as babies or it was in the 80s.
Okay, here we go. I got a list of them.
Or it could have been in the early 2000s when we had maybe like Dick Duran as head coach or some BS like that. Like
I feel like it was one of those years. Okay, here we go.
found something?
I'll just go from 2000. 2000.
Definitely won the
It
90s.
went. I won 5-11. I think this is Urlacher's second year. The 01 year, yep, 13-3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when we lost to Donovan McNabb at home.
Yeah.
4-12 the next year, 7-9, 5-11, 05. Is that Super Bowl year? Nope, that's the Steve
06.
Smith. Actually, they did go back to back.
Oh.
05 and 06. So,
So the first one was the
wow.
Steve Smith year, I assume.
Yep, the Steve Smith year, because Lovie Smith won Coach of the Year that year. And Brian
Okay.
Urlacher won Defensive Player of the Year. Then the next year, that's when we went to Super Bowl. We live 11-5, and the next year we went 13-3 and
Okay.
06. And let's see, 7-9, 9-7. We must didn't go to the playoffs still. 7-9. Then I think we won a division in 2010. Yep, that
That's
was
the Packers year.
that's Packers year. Yep. Went 8-8 that next year. We was 500, but no playoff.
Nope.
And I think this is Levy last year, 10-6,
Yep.
and no playoffs. Yep. Nope. I thought it was Nagy, but Nagy missed a year. Nagy went 8-8. He
Yep.
was still 500, but we didn't make the playoffs. And then we made the playoffs the next. Went 8-8 again. Then he made the playoffs again. But nope, haven't been to the playoffs since then.
All right. So we got that one. So thank you, Lovey, for getting
So
back to back.
so that's literally so
That's 20
technically
years ago.
that was 20 years ago to this year. 20 years ago. That's insane, bro.
Okay. All right. We gonna keep it moving here. So got another candidate. We gonna speed this up a little bit. I ain't trying to be here all night. All right, this next one here, he's team is still in the playoffs. Offensive coordinator, but he definitely has some head coaching experience in college. I guess he's a hot name. He's the Ravens offensive coordinator, Todd Monken. What are your thoughts on Mr. Monken?
Uh, how old is this guy? I know he's probably an older gentleman.
I'm 58.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, but it's just like same thing as coordinator. Can he be a head coach? Do we hire him and the offense takes a step up? And Caleb ascends, and then we scoring 35, 40 points, and we giving up 50 points. Is that going to be our story?
Hmm.
So I think that's the main thing. I just feel like we need a balance. I think that's my thing.
Yeah, no, I agree with as far as the balance part. I mean, the only head coaching experience that I see here was when he was at Southern Miss from 2013 to 2015. But once again, that is college. Um, he's been definitely an OC for a number of years with the Buccaneers, the Browns, recently before the Ravens was the Georgia Bulldogs. So I guess he helped, got them to when they was dominant in college football at the time. Been with the Ravens since last year, helped transform Lamar to where he is now. So, I mean, that says something. So he can definitely, probably upgrade Caleb Williams here a bit. But once again, can he actually change the culture? Can he actually lead a team? Can he actually at the highest level? Because his head coaching record in college was 13-26. So take that for what it's worth on that one. All right, moving along. This next one here is probably, I guess, technically the most recent person in Hallis Hall. Thomas Brown, who was the interim coach after Eberflus's debacle in front of the nation on Thanksgiving. Thomas Brown got one win. I think he will finish with 1-4. So what I will say about Mr. Brown is, in the press conference, he definitely sounded like, somebody that was starting to hold these players accountable. He was pretty much straight up. I think they wanted to follow his lead, but when we actually saw how they were in the game from that point on, when they pretty much gave up in the first quarter against the 49ers, and the way the offense stopped moving the ball. And I don't know if that's more so because prior to him being the interim head coach, he became the offensive coordinator for like a game or two, because they fired what's his name, Shane Waldron. But then I feel like the offense actually started to be a little bit more fluid. But then when he became the head coach, maybe was he like didn't have enough?
Too much? Yeah.
That's the thing. So, like, I like him, but this is one of those hires, like you mentioned prior to, like, probably the most important hire that they're going to have in this spot for, I don't know, for the foreseeable future. So, I don't think it's worth bringing him back for this because of how important this hire is.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And this is not to say that he's not capable. I do feel like maybe he possibly could lead the team, but like you say, it's a very important hire for this franchise. Probably one of the most important hires of this franchise, probably in the last 40 years. So, you know, now had they went 4-1, or 3-2, you could kind of hang your hat on that and kind of see, okay, he can kind of lead this team,
Right.
and to say the least, it really ain't his fault. He you come into the season, and he probably was a running back coach. Well, he's a running back coach or the passing coordinator. Then the offensive coordinator gets fired. Now he jumps into the offensive coordinator role. Then the head coach gets fired a couple weeks later. Now he the head coach of the team. So he's probably never been a head coach of no team. You know what I'm saying?
Never.
So it's a tough situation, and we're not even talking about leading up and coming college players. We're talking about leading grown men that got families, that got mouths to feed. That hell, that's probably older than him or just as old as him. That's a couple years younger than him. So
yeah,
it's a tough task for sure. It's a young black coach. I do wish him the best. I do wish he gets another job to coach, and possibly one day he'd be a head coach. But it's a tough situation for him to be in. And, the Bears got so much pressure on them as an organization that, with, Ryan Poles and Caleb, and, they trying to get this new stadium off the ground. It's a lot.
No, that definitely is, man. And I think, just like you mentioned, the timing on this isn't the best for him. I do think he gets another just a general coaching opportunity somewhere else, like, for sure.
Yeah.
And heck, I mean, I wouldn't mind having him back on the staff if whoever is the hire is at some, in some shape or fashion, because him and Caleb definitely had some type of rapport when he was actually the OC for the short period of time. I mean, he went from a skill position coach to the head coach in less than a month. Like,
literally, in about 3 to 5 weeks.
yes, and I mean, at the rate he was going, he'd probably be the owner by 2027. I mean, it was going that fast. I mean,
Hey, I just want to know. I just want to know, did his checks get bigger, man? Y'all move me up to the head coach. Y'all got to. My
y'all
check
gotta
got to
pay
go.
me
Yeah, y'all got to pay me, man.
for real. So, nah, and if all, in all seriousness, best luck to Mr. Brown on that one. All right, so the next person, all right, so he technically hasn't interviewed with the Bears yet, but he's definitely been linked to them. He's definitely been a head coach. He's definitely commands the room. Um, and he was definitely part of a fraud team that I really felt like that I was throwing it out there. But Brian Flores is the name, and just so you know, I mean, he was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and we people that's been following football aware of the lawsuits, this and that. But he was the defensive coordinator for the Vikings for a team that went 14-3, that we recently lost 24 hours ago. But nevertheless, his head coaching record is 24-25. What are your thoughts on Mr. Flores?
So I just learned about them being interested or him being a candidate. I'm not opposed to Brian Flores getting this job. I do feel like he could be a culture changer. He's been a head coach before, so he kind of know what he probably did wrong, in Miami and what he did right, and coming in with a young talented quarterback, and he'll probably bring that energy the Bears need. It'll be a fresh start for him. I know he want to get off to a fresh, fast start and kind of, erase that, everything that went on in Miami. It's something fresh and something new. So he probably he probably would be one of the best candidates to me. Um, he is defensive minded, so that's what Chicago likes apparently. Um, just like we stated with everybody else, his biggest thing is if he does become the head coach or if they're looking towards him, was going to develop Caleb. That's just going to be the theme of this offseason as far and along with who's going to be the head coach. So, but I wouldn't be opposed to Brian Flores. I think that probably would be a good hire for them. I think they kind of I think they will both kind of need each other in a sense. Bears need a new coach, new culture, needed kind of a culture change. Somebody young, but not too young. Somebody that can kind of relate to the players who's been around, pro players before, been a head coach before, kind of know the ups and downs of the league. And he took his lumps, but he had some success as well too. So I think uh I think they will kind of both need each other in a sense, if it make any sense.
No. I mean, I can see where you're going on that. I mean, the man's 43 years old. Um, he's from Brooklyn, so he comes with some aggression by default. um, hold on. Deshaun says this live. It is. It is.
Yes,
This is
sir. Yes,
a little,
sir. Yes,
little
sir.
different. A little different. Um, yeah. So for Mr. Flores, one thing I want to say before I even get deep into what I'm about to say, I am happy for him. The fact that who in the heck sues your employer and now actually starting to get linked to head coaching jobs? Like, who does that? Like,
True.
so that's wild to me. So my biggest thing is him and Tua did not get along. Tua
Yeah.
was a very young quarterback at the time, and it's not a good look for when he left and Mike McDaniels became the coach, and then all of a sudden Tua game just elevated really quick, and Tua ended up getting paid as a franchise quarterback. Like, that's not a good look. So it's like my confidence level for you, like, what is your plan to develop Caleb Williams? Is
Yep.
it going to be the same situation with you and Tua? Like, are you going to like discourage my guy instead of like uplifting him when he needs to be like just little things like that? Because the way
Hmm.
that Tua spoke about Brian in some of these interviews in the last couple of months, that's alarming. That is
Yeah.
very alarming.
And
So
maybe, and not to cut you off, but
yeah,
maybe Tua maybe just didn't like his coaching style. Some players take to certain coaching styles, some players don't. So it could be that thing. But that is something to think about for sure. You got a young quarterback, and he's basically coming to similar situation.
yeah. So and like you said, like did he learn from that?
Yeah.
And I would hope that he did. Um, and of course, Mr. Reed said one diehard bear and one ex bear. I'm here for it. Oh man.
Hey man,
But
tell him George Pickens need to get it together, man.
whoo, that man, that's not a good look for Mr. Pickens. But yeah, I understand. Flores comes from the Belichick coaching tree. He is a four-time Super Bowl champion as a part of his staff. So I mean, he knows what it takes to win. Been a part
Jeez,
of
I didn't
that.
know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't find out either until about an hour ago. So, um,
Mm,
but yeah, I that's my main question because my number one concern is can you develop the quarterback?
yeah.
And if you can't do that, if you don't have a plan, then honestly, I don't want you. That's
Yep.
that's my thing. All
Because
right.
that's been our thing for our entire history. We cannot develop a quarterback. So we need
At
one
all.
coach that just give us a balance. Defense, develop a quarterback, we'll be all right.
So with that being said, the next one here, look, he interviewed with the Bears. I don't know how I feel about this guy. I never really even paid too much attention to this guy. So I'm gonna keep this brief. The name is Drew Petzing. For those that don't know, he is the offensive coordinator for your boy Kyler Murray in the Arizona Cardinals. Um, I I don't know. I mean, that's your boy Kyler. I don't know. And from a fantasy football standpoint, I did not like what I saw because it's like you have like a sensational target, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's you coaching Kyler or Kyler doing it by himself, but he did not give Marvin Harrison Jr. What university did he go to?
The Ohio State University.
He did not get that man the football for whatever reason. I don't know why. And Deshaun, continue with the jokes. And you ready to tell your story yet, big dog? Surviving the Bears, Caleb
the
Swift.
the claw.
Dude, y'all wild in the night. Oh man. But yeah, Drew Petzing. I don't know. They interviewed him. Apparently they see something in him.
Yeah, I mean maybe they see something in him. So my thing with that is I don't know if it like you say, I don't know, maybe it's a Kyler thing or him and Kyler's not on the same page or now I do know that their tight end, he had a lot of catches. He didn't have no touch. I don't know if he got a touchdown, but I know he had like
He got
close to 100 catches.
Yeah, he had
I mean, right.
one receiving touchdown, I think one rushing touchdown, but he was definitely a receiving hog, a target hog
Yeah,
for
I know
sure.
he got like 90 something catches. He probably got 100 the last
Well, Sean,
last.
I think put it in a nutshell, he's a fake Cliff Kingsbury.
Uh,
If he's
but
anything
like
associated with Kingsbury, I don't want him.
yeah, but like we stated before, it's different. It's a difference from being a coordinator, being a head coach. Can you lead this team? Yeah, we need you to develop Caleb, but we need to. The team needs to be led as well, and
Correct.
the defense can't take a fall off as well. You know, we got a lot. I got a lot of talent on the defense, so
Plenty.
it shouldn't be a drop off. You know, I don't know what happened in these last 10 weeks this year. I know amongst injuries and just it's just the organization was just all over the place. So
It was bad. It
yeah,
was bad. Like how the like if your team, and I said it so many times on Saturdays, but if your team falls apart after a Hail Mary,
loses 10 games in a row.
you didn't really have a structure to begin with.
Yeah,
And I've said
that
it
that's
before.
that's culture and that's coaching
Yep.
because
Where's the
uh, yeah,
leadership
yeah, I don't understand that.
at all? So, all right, we gonna move on. Once again, another coordinator. Um, I've heard the name, but one thing I guess that I've learned about this guy, like some people do like him. He is a former player in NFL. Um, he is the Dolphins' defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver. He did already did a virtual interview with the Bears um, before being a DC here. He was the assistant head coach and the defensive line coach for the Ravens from 22 to 23. So
Okay.
um, he was a DC with the Texans in 2020. Um, he's definitely been around the game of football. He played for the Ravens from '02 to '05 and the Texans from '06 to '08. So he definitely collected a paycheck during that time.
Hmm.
Um, unless we know he was teammates with Ray Lewis, so that says something there. If we learned anything from him,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah. Any thoughts on Anthony Weaver? I mean, I don't really have too many myself.
Yeah, I don't really know this guy, but it seems you say he was the assistant defensive coordinator or he was the defensive coordinator with the Ravens.
Assistant head
Rich
coach and
assistant
defensive
head
line
coach,
coach
or
with
defensive
the
line coach.
so assistant
Yeah,
head coach
and that,
and the D line coach for the at the
yeah,
same time.
and during that time that well uh, now too, but
The Ravens defense was actually pretty
defense was pretty
good
good. Yeah,
at
yeah,
that
yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. So defensive minded guy. I mean, that's that's a typical, that would be a typical Chicago hire.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Like same thing with him. Long as you can lead the whole 52, not just 22,
Yeah.
or not just that 11 and the backups on one side of the ball.
That's fair. I mean, personally, I wouldn't do it, but and again, the
Yeah.
Bears do things that doesn't make a lot of sense a lot of times. So, um, now this one here that I'm gonna mention, you know this guy pretty well. He was a former Bear. He's a former head coach. Um, he
I
was
know
the
this is.
yep he coached one of our favorite players of all time. And I feel like the 2015 version of our favorite player is definitely one of the best 10 players I ever seen in my whole life. He definitely has ties to the organization.
Yep.
Um, his name is Ron Rivera. And just so you know, as a head coach, he has 102 wins, 103 losses, and two ties, 498 winning percentage. So basically, practically 500. In the playoffs, he is 3-5. He did make a Super Bowl appearance with the Carolina Panthers. His recent head coaching job was the Washington football team at the time. Um, yeah, so I know you some Ron Rivera. What are your thoughts here?
Um. Well, number one, his health.
Yeah, that's
Um.
true.
I know he did have health issues leaving Washington. Um, Defensive coordinator, I mean, former defensive coordinator, and he's defensive minded. I know he can lead men. Um, I wouldn't be opposed to Ron Rivera. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think the main thing would be with me with is his health.
Right. And when you said it, I forgot all about that. But yeah, um, I mean, look, Ron Rivera, played for the Bears his entire career, from 84 to 92. So he was part of the Super Bowl team.
Yep.
Um, they call him Riverboat Ron. I mean, he's like you said, he leads men. Definitely will. I feel like he's a no nonsense type of guy. Um, Definitely will
Yeah, for
hold people
sure.
accountable.
Yeah, for sure.
So my question is, what can he do for Caleb Williams? What is
Yeah,
your
I mean
plan?
that would be the biggest. That would be the biggest thing. But in the past, we have seen him. I mean, damn, this is crazy. Which was 10 years, literally 10 years ago. We seen him make changes for his quarterback. So you know, it's possible. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. Just so you know, the man is 63 years old. So just throwing that out there. Um, he was the Panthers coach from 2011 to 2019. So pretty much that whole 2010s decade. Um, Redskins football team Commanders coach from 2020 to 2023. So
Did he make the playoffs with Washington? I think maybe one time with Caleb. I mean, with Tyler Heineke, maybe.
or was it Alex Smith at the time?
Yeah, one
Let
of
me
them.
let me see.
Shit, it might have been both.
Mm, yes, he made the playoffs his first year. That's when the NFC East was the NFC least because they ended up winning the division at a 7-9 record
Yeah. Okay.
and
Yep. I
lost to
think I do
Tampa in the
remember
first
that.
round.
First round. Yep. At home. Right.
Yeah.
Think Tom
Oh,
Brady
was
came
that?
there. Yep.
Yeah, it went against Heineke that game, and Heineke was
Yeah.
showing me something. He was trying
Yep.
at that time. Yep, I remember now. Um, so I kind of wish that Rivera was still the coach this year, just to see what he would have done with Jaden Daniels. Because Jaden Daniels has done outstanding with Dan Quinn and that whole staff and Cliff Kingsbury. But I just wanted to see what he would have done with him, just to because that would have
Yeah.
solidified it for me, letting me know for sure. But you know, there's a we'll see. All right, I got three more names and we can get out of here. One, I don't even know why. I don't know why his name is even popping up at all. Or matter of fact, he was had an interview with them already. Um, so this guy was, I guess he's a former player in the league. He played for one, two, seven different teams. Um, he was the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator of the New York Giants. His name is Mike Kafka. Um,
So he's a Chicago guy. He's from St. Rita. I do believe he went to Northwestern. I believe.
you're
I know
correct.
he's a quarterback. I believe.
Yes, you're
Um,
right.
that might. I mean, he hasn't been a head coach per se,
No.
so I feel like that hire would just be because he's from the area, maybe.
Mm, I noticed something. So, real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, go ahead.
he was part of the Kansas City Chiefs from 2017 through 2021. And that
Mm,
means something because Ryan Poles was working for the Chiefs during that time.
See connections, and he's from Chicago, from the city,
Yeah.
Northwestern alum, St. Rita alum. So, I mean, I mean, you could see the connections there. Just like in real life. I mean, well, just
Yeah.
like in other professions, I should say.
No, you're right. So, with all that being said, no, not doing it. Nope. Nope. Mm-mm.
So I wouldn't say that he maybe just not this job, not this time. No, not this time.
No,
This is
yeah,
this is this is a big this is a big monumental hire for this organization. So not this time. I mean, I see the connections and maybe you bring him on the staff or whoever hires him, but no.
correct. So thanks, but no thanks. Maybe some other job, just not the Chicago Bears in 25. All right, so two more I just want to mention real quick, and we get up out of here because we've been here for an hour already. Um, one, they did request an interview for this guy. I feel like he is one of the hotter names out here. Um, he's worked with quarterbacks that's in this league right now that has definitely had an impact, I guess, because of him. He is currently the Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator. His name is Joe Brady. As you see, Josh Allen has arguably put up an MVP season. He is definitely a heavy candidate for the MVP this year.
Yep.
The other part to note is he was with LSU.
Yep. He was the passing coordinator in that 2019 team with Joe Burrow, Justin
Yes,
Jefferson, and the fastest person in the world.
Jamar Chase, but also CEH and also Randy Moss on Thaddeus Moss. I remember that too.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah. So, needless to say, what are your thoughts on Mr. Brady?
Well, we know he can put together a good passing game.
Yes,
Yeah, we
he
know
can.
he can run a competent offense. Just does the defense fall off? It just comes to who these guys hire. Whether they're former defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators. It just comes to who these guys hire. On the other end of the ball, and ultimately, can you lead the whole team? And now with Joe Brady, he is younger. I know he's on the younger side. He may be in his 30s or
35.
40s. 30. Oh, damn, shit. He
It's pretty
only
much our
older.
age.
Right, yeah. So he's more relatable. He will probably be a good fit for Caleb to develop Caleb and to help Caleb progress. So I think, a guy like him and Ben Johnson, those would be like a perfect marriage for Caleb.
Most definitely. He'll definitely check the first box for sure. I know for a fact he can develop quarterbacks. I mean, he developed Joe Burrow in college, and definitely
Man.
took Josh Allen to new heights
Yep.
with the Bills. So it's like, okay, that box is checked. But once again, goes down to, can you lead the team? Can Will the defense stay the same? It's like just all those things. I mean, you coming from a winning organization, um, that has consistently win, so that helps. So it's just all these candidates, except for Mike McCarthy, Pete Carroll. I think you pretty much what you're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, those who what you're getting. Outside of that, there's some type of question mark with each and every one of these. And then the last one I'm gonna bring up, which he's linked to the job, which the name is right there, Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame's head coach. If I'm not mistaken, drafted by the Bears. Um, you
Really? I
know,
didn't know that.
pretty sure. Yeah, he was drafted fifth round in 2009 by the Chicago Bears.
I do
Uh,
know he's from Ohio State.
yep, came from the Ohio State University. Matter of fact, Brian Urlacher was on ESPN 1000 today, and he, because Urlacher and his son plays for Notre Dame,
From
and
there, Notre Dame. Yep.
he said he does remember Marcus Freeman with the Bears. So
Full circle moment.
it is, and Marcus Freeman is by far probably the biggest name in college football and they were saying he probably might be the face of college football as far as head coaches right now.
Yeah.
What he's done with Notre Dame is sensational.
Yeah.
I know it's pretty much been done at the collegiate level. I guess the question is, could he do it at the pro level with the Chicago Bears, a franchise that cannot get right?
Yeah. It will be a tough task for him, but I will say that he does have the energy and the youthness, and I think he'll be able to relate to these guys. Now, just like we stated with all the other guys, I think it comes down to who he hires. Um, on the offensive side of the ball for the offense to flourish, and even on the defense. But I do think he has that young energy. You know, something new. I think he's relatable. I do feel like he can lead men because when Brian Kelly left Notre Dame, I think he was actually on the staff, and those players pretty much vouched for him to stay. They didn't want to, they didn't want them to hire anybody new. So that
Correct.
speaks volumes about his coaching ability. So that means those kids will run through a wall for him. So that
Oh,
says a lot.
you're right. And this is his third year, and look at him now
Right.
in national championship.
Lost to NIU, and they just been whooping ass since then, quietly. So
Yeah. So I this is one of those wild card candidates to where I don't think I would mind if they did this. I don't. I wouldn't say WTF. I wouldn't say that.
hmm
Um, it goes back to what you're saying. Like, depends on who you hire, who you bringing with you, what is your plan? Because I feel like you can get the team to be on board with you, but can you do what needs to be done
Yep.
for everything else that we're asking for, or more so, what's needed for this team? Um, but yeah, those are the candidates. There, once again, I mentioned at the beginning of the show. There are more. There are more, but this is what it is for now. Um, the Bears are interviewing Mike McCarthy in person tomorrow, going out to dinner, all that good stuff. Um, I want to say just based on how they have done things, it feels like they really like Mike McCarthy because remember they requested to interview with him with the
Yeah.
Cowboys and they said no, but then they just let him go anyway.
Yep.
And so they actually meet with him in person. A lot of the interviews have been virtual, so that tells me another thing. Now I get it, like some of these interviews have to be virtual because they're still on teams and stuff like that. But Pete Carroll, I mean, you could have interviewed him in person. Um, Ron
The old,
Rivera, you could have
the
interviewed him
old.
in person.
Yeah.
So,
I know McCarthy might be the favorite, in the building. So
yeah, so we will see. We'll know something by Saturday as far as how that went or any news with that. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of leakings of how well it went. Heck, maybe they might offer that man a contract before we get. I don't know.
we might look up in the morning, they might hire him. Who knows? Or
You
tomorrow or Friday morning.
never know, but yeah, that's all I got. Unless you got something else you want to add.
Um, no, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
So with all that being said, I would say definitely a pleasure, Ian, for you joining me tonight on a special edition episode.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
Something different. Um, we'll maybe do this maybe a couple times a month just to stir things up. But nevertheless, catch us this Saturday morning, 7 o'clock Central Time, live on Facebook, YouTube. Um, and podcast is Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from.
Streaming everywhere.
Yes, sir. So, all right. So for Ian, I'm Jamar, on behalf of the rest of the EMSTP staff, we will catch you all